Namaste. I want you to stay with me for the next few minutes because I'm going to share 3 things that I see come up in almost every single Vedic astrology reading I do. And I mean almost every one of them. Different people, different countries, different problems, but the same 3 things. Patterns, if you will. And after explaining each one of them, I'm going to give you something that you can actually do about it. A remedy of sorts. A remedy if you're a Hindu practicing person. A remedy if you're not. So, this is episode 1 of the Jyotish Files, a series I'm doing to pull back the curtain on what Vedic astrology actually shows us about the life that we are living right now. So, let's get into it. The first thing is what I call the buried signals. When something is written in your chart, a challenge that you're facing right now, maybe, and I mention it to you, you already know what you're supposed to do. You already know. You've known for a while. You just don't trust it. And so you keep waiting for more signs, waiting for confirmation, waiting for someone to tell you it's okay. Here's what I've noticed after doing hundreds of readings. Your chart doesn't show me something that you haven't already felt. It shows me something that you've been feeling for some time, for years maybe, in the subconscious. And you've been talking yourself out of it. There's a direction, and you know the direction, but the mind keeps building a case against it. It's telling you, too risky, too late, it's too much. It's telling you it's not practical. It's telling you, what will people think? And so, the knowing just sits there. It sits there, patiently waiting for you to stop arguing with it. The chart shows you that the answer you've been dismissing all this time was right. I read for a woman a while ago. I'll call her Dr. Maya. That's not her name. She's a doctor. I never share names. So, Dr. Maya, she had done everything right by every standard that her parents and the world wants. When she came to me, she felt restless. Since she was a little girl, she had wanted to write creative stories. She had this whole inner world, a creative world, wanting to express. And she spent 20 years. She worked so hard to become a good doctor. When I looked at her chart, I didn't need to say much, really. I just said, your chart is showing me a writer. And she started crying because she was exhausted from arguing with herself for 2 decades. The knowing that she had was never wrong. The pressure around it was just very loud. So, if you already know that you should be doing something specific and you doubt yourself, if you want to be clear about the buried signal, check your chart. And here's a remedy if you're walking the Hindu path. Saraswati mantra. Om Aim Saraswatiya Namaha. Saraswati is the goddess of the inner voice, of discernment, of being able to hear clearly what is actually true for you. Underneath all that noise, say this mantra 108 times in the morning before anyone else's voice enters your head. Just that. Now, if the Hindu path isn't yours, try this as a remedy. Pick a time every day, a time for silence. 20 minutes. Just you. No phones. I know that sounds simple, but most people haven't actually done this in years. And here's the thing. The knowing that you've been looking for is not hiding from you. You've just been louder than it. Give it some quiet, and it will find you. The second thing that I keep seeing in these charts, and this one is painful for a lot of people because you think that life is cruel to you. Now, you already know that life has seasons, ups and downs. Everybody knows that. But the problem is, you just don't realize which season you are in right now. It's like, imagine you're in winter season and you didn't have a clue. And you're not prepared. And you freeze from the cold because you don't have warm clothes, you didn't prepare. And you think that life is full of suffering. This is how it feels when you're not aware of the seasons. In Vedic astrology, we track something called dashas, mahadashas, planetary period. Every person is born into a specific planetary period. And those periods rotate throughout your life. Some periods are expansive, amazing. Things come easily. Doors open easily. Momentum builds. And some periods are internal, slow, stripping you, and not a time to build. It's about letting go of what isn't yours anymore. And here's what happens. We live in a world that has one timeline taught to you. Get educated by this age. Get married by this age. Succeed by this age. But your chart runs in a completely different clock, different season. And if you're in an internal season, a dissolving season, no amount of pushing is going to make it behave like a growth period. No amount. You'll just exhaust yourself fighting a current that isn't going against you. It's going through you. See, what looks like delay is often the season that you're in right now. I'll give you a real-life example of a reading I recently did. I'll call him Arjun. He was 44 years old when he reached out to me. Successful enough, but not where he thought that he'd be. And the gap between where he was and where his friends and his brother were was becoming a problem for Arjun, and he was carrying that weight. His younger brother had a company. His college friends were apparently winning. And Arjun kept waking up wondering what was wrong with him. When I looked into his chart, I could see it clearly that he had been in a Rahu period. Rahu is a planet that dissolves identity. It takes everything you thought you were supposed to be and it makes it feel unstable, unreal. People in Rahu periods often feel like that they're losing ground, when what's actually happening is that the possessions that was never theirs is now falling away. And what was coming for Arjun within about 14 months was his Saturn period. Now, Saturn is a planet of real earned things. Not luck, but structure. The kind of success that once built doesn't go away. I told him that he's not behind. You've been in the fire, and the fire is almost done with you. He was quiet for a moment, and then he said, Bobby, I think I knew something was shifting for me. I just needed someone to tell me that I wasn't going crazy. He wasn't crazy. He was just in a season. Now, if you are going through a difficult season, the remedy, if you walk in the Hindu path, is Hanuman Chalisa, Lord Hanuman's prayer. Especially if you're in a period that feels like resistance, like long delay, like everything is slower than it should be. Hanuman is the deity of Saturdays, of Saturn. The will to keep going, especially when the path is unclear. He doesn't make the season shorter, but he makes you stronger than the season. Listen to Hanuman Chalisa daily if you can, or at least on Saturdays, and let it work on you. And if that path isn't yours, the remedy, go find yourself in nature that is slow. Seriously. A river, a big old tree, the sky. Sit near it, just to let your body remember that not everything moves at the speed of your anxiety. The tree doesn't apologize for growing slowly. It just grows. And one day, it's the biggest thing in the yard. And you're allowed to be on that timeline. The third thing that I see in these charts is what I call the soul's direction. This is the one people remember the most. What you are longing for is already showing in your chart. It's the direction that your soul is pointing. In Vedic astrology, there's a concept, a specific placement in the chart that shows us the soul's deepest signature. What it came here to experience. And in reading after reading, when I describe what that placement is showing, the person doesn't look surprised. The person actually looks relieved because it's a thing they've been circling their whole life. The thing that they have trouble with. Talked themselves out of it. And it's filed under the non-realistic category. But it's never going away because it's not a preference. It's the soul's direction. And the soul's direction doesn't disappear just because you ignore them. I'll call him Daniel, this guy. He wasn't Hindu. He found Vedic astrology through a podcast or something. And he booked a reading more out of curiosity than anything else. Nice guy, practical guy. Worked in construction. He knew how to build things. But he had this pull since he was young. A pull toward being around people who were struggling. Just present with people who are in hard times. And he somehow called it weird. He said he didn't know why he felt that way. And he's convinced that it didn't mean anything to him. when I looked at the chart, I could see it clearly. His chart was showing me a person whose deepest soul work was in service-oriented things, in being of use to other people. I asked him, have you ever spent time with people, going through something really hard? And he said that he volunteered at a recovery house every Saturday, once a week. He said he's been doing it for 11 years. 11 years. He came to me to find out what his soul wanted. His soul had been telling him every single Saturday for over a decade. I told him, that's not a side thing, Daniel. That's the whole thing. So, if you're not sure about your swadharma, what your soul's direction is, I'll give you a remedy for that. That is, if you walk the Hindu path. Find your Ishta Devata. Find your soul's deity. In Vedic astrology, we can identify which deity your chart is oriented toward. The one that carries the frequency that your soul is most aligned with. And if you don't know yours, your chart will show you. But once you know, start a simple practice with them. One honest moment of sitting with them. You don't need an elaborate ritual. You just need contact, connection. Because the longing that you've been carrying is looking for a home, and the right practice gives it a home. And if that path isn't yours, the Hindu path, then take a blank piece of paper and write this question at the top. Don't try to answer it fast. Just write it and just sit with it. The question is, if I already knew that this was right, what would I stop arguing about? And sit with it. Because somewhere underneath all that noise, all that distraction, you already know. So, those are the three things that I've noticed in most charts. Your knowing is real. You're not just trusting it. Your timeline is real. You're just measuring it against the wrong clock. And of course, your struggle is real. And what you're longing for, that's real too. The most real thing, actually. What Vedic astrology keeps showing me over and over again is that people are not lost. They just haven't had anyone read the map with them or show them. if something in this resonated with you and you wanted to know what your chart is specifically showing, the link for a personal reading is on my profile. Or you can visit my website at Jyotisakti.com. Not because I'm trying to sell something, but because there's things in your chart that are specific to you alone. Thank you for staying. This series continues. Episode 2 is coming soon, and we are going deeper. I'll see you there. Namaste.